Okay, so we continue working on tactics, and now we'll analyze probably one of my favorite games in this course, Ramesh against Kunte. Let's see what we have. White starts with e4, black plays Sicilian, knight f3, and black plays e6. This is the well-known Paulsen Sicilian. We also know black can play d6 and knight c6. When he plays this move order, he's stopping some lines like the queen takes d4 variation, and he's also preventing bishop b5, the Rosolimo. Here, for instance, this is pointless because he plays a6 plus b5. And by the way, against knight c6 or against d6, bishop b5 check is a possibility. Here, for instance, if d6, d4 takes, apart from knight takes, white can also play queen takes d4, and here continue with bishop b5. All these possibilities are not even possible if black plays with a quick e6, but okay, white still plays the open Sicilian with d4 takes, knight takes d4, and knight c6. And by playing this move order, black plays a Taimanov Sicilian with knight c6. And by the way, I've done a deep dive course on the Taimanov for black. You can find it on the iChess website. And I analyzed this basically from black's point of view. So white plays knight c3, queen c7. This is the main idea of the Taimanov. Black delays this move, and in some positions he'll try playing with bishop c5 or bishop b4. That is the advantage of playing this move order. So white plays bishop b3. Not the only line against the Taimanov, but probably the most aggressive one. White tries playing what we call the English attack, queen d2, f3, and queenside castle. So black plays a6, another standard move in Sicilian. As you can see, black, he's preventing all the champs white has, and by playing a6, of course, he's preparing future b5. After all, white is going to castle queenside, so it makes a lot of sense to play this as black. We continue with normal moves, queen d2, we prepare queenside castle, knight f6, and here white castles. Okay, so here is where the game begins. Black has a couple of options. He can play bishop e7, which is the most solid move. He can try playing with d6, which would transpose to a Najdorf setup. Bishop b4, I know this move is great looking, but theory has shown that white is doing great by playing the simple f3. And even if, this is just an example of course, but even if black manages to destroy our pawn chain, we see the endgame is much better for white. Because this bishop is terrible, it is crashing into the entire pawn chain, whereas our dark squares bishop is completely dominating. As you can see, there's no way black can handle dark squares. So yes, despite having a weak pawn structure, we have the advantage because of our bishops. So I guess a lot of black players started to realize this pin on b4 wasn't that exciting. Therefore, they started to play something else. b5, bishop e7, d6, all natural Sicilian moves. However, in this game, black plays this move, knight g4, and this has to be wrong. As we are used to analyzing, black is violating one of the main opening principles, which is development. He's moving the same piece twice in the opening, and this should have a punishment. I know he wants to take our bishop pair, and that would be great for black, but we can simply play bishop f4 to begin with, and we attack the queen, then we think about our next move. But this move is like an easy one because there's no tactics. There's no tactic for black. I mean, if he plays e5, which is super risky, especially in Sicilian, when you leave the d5 square, we have to just occupy it. Queen d8. And here, yes, we are about to lose a piece, but we can play a move like h3 or even f3. And as you can see, there's nothing black can do to win a piece. Knight takes d4, I take his knight. He takes my bishop, I take his knight. And this position, yeah, despite having the bishop pair, this position is lost for black, no development, every single piece on the first rank, bishop c4 is coming, knight b6 is coming, so even queen c4 and knight c7 check, so a lot of threats and no development at all for black. So yeah, let's go back a couple of moves. Yeah, for some reason, chess base is freezing. Wow, this is the first time this happens in my videos. I think like we are losing like 20 seconds or more. Let me see if I can fix this somehow. This should be back anytime soon. Okay, yeah. I don't know what happened, to be honest, but okay, let's not cut the video for this reason. There's no need to. Okay, so knight f6, queenside castle, and okay, black plays knight g4, bishop f4, and black plays this move. So okay, it looks like playable for black, but we have to realize, again, this can't be good. He's moving the knight twice, and he doesn't gain much, he's just pinning himself. So white plays a simple bishop g3. I love this because our next move is going to be f4. Instead of playing the English attack with f3, we go for the kill with f4. We already claim our space in the center. Maybe we can think about other moves, trying to put extra pressure on this knight on e5. But the truth is, worst scenario, he can play a move like d6, and he gets rid of the pin. So this move, I think it's just fine. I know we are moving the bishop twice, but we have a huge reason to do so, and the reason is f4. So black, who's lacking space, decides to trade some pieces off. That is, in general, good idea. And now he plays f6. Okay, so yeah, this is not looking good already. But he has to play f6. What if he plays d6? Do we have any punishment maybe? I'll let you pause the video here, think for a while, and maybe you find a good continuation for white. I'll pause for 5-10 seconds in case you want to pause the video, and then I'll continue talking. So in this position after d6, we can play f4, we can even play bishop e2, king b1, all those useful moves we play in Sicilian. However, since he doesn't have any development, we can also consider taking. And we have a huge reason to play this. After all, we are opening the d file, and this move is an only move. We don't have mate, but we do have queen a4 check. And believe it or not, he has to play this sad move, king e7. And of course, we know after he plays this move, he is close to being dead. I mean, king e7, yeah, the check on a3 is not helping much, but I can at least play knight b5, and then I play knight d6. Yeah, this is terrible shape for black. So bishop takes, pawn takes, queen a4. The variation we have to see is bishop d7, And here is where we have the tactic. We don't have any concepts to follow, this is just pure calculation. The move is rook takes e7, queen takes, and now we play bishop b5. Now, of course, he has to take with the pawn, then we take on a8. Material is equal, problem is his king is in the middle, rook d1 is coming, and if he plays queen d8, I can even take on b7 and b5. So this is how chess works. I mean, if you calculate strong enough, sometimes you can win in less than 20 moves, especially if your opponent goes crazy in the opening. So, believe it or not, a move like d6, we can tell it is almost losing at this point, and black, who's a strong player, decides to play f6. I'm pretty sure he saw that bishop takes e5 plus queen a4 coming. f6. Now, there's no reason not to play f4. He plays bishop c5. And now the simple queen d2. I like this. We can also consider queen a4, but I don't know. I feel we are overexposing our queen, and the only reason I would play a move like queen a4 is to continue with a move like knight b5, as we previously saw. Yeah, according to that computer, this is also better for white. I'm just a little bit concerned of a possible rook b8 plus b5, but yes, I mean black, he cannot play b5 yet because we simply take, and if he moves the knight, I mean we can play f5. Honestly, this is great looking for white too. I'm just trying to say that the move white played in the game is much more simple because the queen on d2 controls every single square. He doesn't even have the move bishop e3. And we can even play by positional means if necessary. And when I say positional means, I talk about the bishops. Let's take a look at bishops. Bishop c8, as we know, I don't want to say terrible, but it is a bad bishop, whereas bishop c5 happens to be black's best bishop. So if we have the queen on d2, we can even try trading these bishops off, and we play a middle game with a much better bishop than black. And yeah, if we have the queen on a4, we can't play this. But okay, once he plays knight f7, it looks like a waste to think about positional stuff in this position when his king is on e8 and when we have a much better development. I think it would be much better to think about attacking in this position, and that is what white does by playing f5. So this is an aggressive move, of course. We are trying to open that position because his king is still in the middle, and if he plays a move like this, well, this talks for itself. We place a knight here, the bishop is way much better, and I don't think he can even castle on the king side, so he'll never play e5. If he plays knight to e5, I mean, this is risky too. I mean, we can open the d file trying to play something like this, or we can play this first, and if queen takes, I take on e6. If d takes, queen d8, that looks winning, and if this, he's full of weaknesses, this also talks for itself. His bishop pair is not in play, so this looks almost winning for white, to be honest. So that is why I like f5, because after this knight e5, I can take, followed by f takes e6. If I didn't have bishop takes e5, I wouldn't play f5, because after all, I'm offering him this great square. But yes, knight e5, as we said, bishop takes, queen takes, and this, I bet we have a clear advantage. So okay, black saw this variation as well, the queen is under attack, so he plays queen c6. And okay, this is that position I want you to analyze. Here is where we really have to pause the video and think for a while after queen c6. And I say we have to think for a while because we have a lot of good looking moves. Honestly, we have like 5 or 6 moves, and after those moves we have a slight advantage. But we have to think in practice point of view, and we have to put our opponent to the test. Remember, he still has a king in the center, so we have to choose a variation where he's more likely to make mistakes. So I'll pause that position here, you can pause the video too, and in 10-15 seconds I'll continue talking. Okay, so in this position we have a lot of moves. As we were saying before, we can develop our bishop, bishop c4, bishop e2, we can play king b1. Actually, we can take on e6 as well. The problem is, he's not going to take with the queen. That would allow a move like knight d5. So he can take with the pawn. Now, the knight on f7, as you can see, it is guarding the d8 square. So he can castle next, and he is absolutely fine. As long as he keeps the pawn on e6, as long as he controls the d5 square, he is safe. So we have, as I was saying, a lot of moves, but white is somehow concerned about that position being closed. Let's say we play king b1, he castles. Oops. Okay, I think the board is back. Yeah. He castles, suppose we play bishop e2. At some point he'll play knight e5, and this is not the same position we had before, where we took and we opened the d file. Now the king is there, there's a different position, and it's like we don't have many ways of opening lines. We can see he's playing b5, bishop b7 soon, and it's like our f5 wasn't ideal because this knight on e5 is now powerful. So here, what white did is incredible. I mean, it is like intuition and positional sacrifice at the same time. He plays e5, and this move is great because we offer a pawn, we also try opening lines, and we don't have a winning variation. I mean, e5, it's impossible to calculate the entire outcome of this move. But we know that without the pawn on e4, we'll also make his life much more difficult if he wants to play b5. Even if he castles short, we have moves like bishop d3. I mean, it is much better to get rid of the e4 pawn. That is what white does in this game. And okay, black has to take somehow, because otherwise we take on f6, we open the e file, the king side, and black is in terrible shape. So in the game he decides to take like this. If he plays knight takes e5, we can take on e6. Now, if he takes with the pawn, the knight is no longer on f7. That means queen d8, check, wins on the spot. And if queen takes, then knight d5, this plays itself. We can take on e5 later, we can play bishop c4, place a rook on e1. Our initiative is way too much, and now we start understanding why e5 was a good move. So yeah, he takes with the f pawn on e5, this is the game. Before we continue, let's take a look at this move. We can take, now, well, pawn takes, this is like giving up. Absolutely winning for us. So I guess he has to take with the queen, but if he takes with the queen, I have knight e5. And yes, I attack the queen, I have knight c7 check, this is game over. So yeah, after e5, which this is putting our opponent to the test, he plays f takes e5. We take on e6, and then he takes with the pawn. Black wanted to have d5 under control. no matter what. We know queen d8 is not possible, but his position is way too open. The computer here prefers playing queen takes e6, but this is a computer's move. Imagine if you're black in this position and your opponent takes on e6. You'll probably take with the pawn as well, because you don't want to see knight d5. I mean, after this, he plays knight d5. This is too complicated. I mean, knight c7 is coming, bishop c4 is coming. You're too passive. I mean, taking with the queen, it's like impossible. We see that computer castles here, and if knight c7, black has this resource, and we are mating him next. But okay, even if we castle, he's not going to play knight c7. He can play bishop c4, and this, I mean, even if we play b5, he can play bishop b3, and then we are close to losing this one. I mean, even the computer says black is in terrible shape. Imagine a human trying to defend this. So black again plays the human move, d takes e6, keeping the d5 square under control, and white plays bishop d3. Simple move, we finish our development, and well, if we have the chance we can play bishop e4 or even knight to e4. Now, the concept, as we always talk about Garry Kasparov's his games, he makes sure every single piece is participating. And suppose our attack doesn't work, we can always win by positional means, get our pawn back, and we have a much better pawn structure. So yeah, black, he could have castled, to be honest. I mean, he's still with some weaknesses. We can play queen e2, trying to play queen h5. I mean, we have a lot of ideas, I know, but at least he's putting his king in a safer area. If he plays with the king on e8, I mean, his chances are less. He plays bishop d4, once more moving a bishop twice in the opening, playing with the king on e8, and white simply brings more attackers with rook h e1. There's a trick. If you play knight e4, which is like a natural move, he plays queen b6, and now we're in trouble because there's a threat on b2 and there's also the bishop e3 idea. Unfortunately for us, we cannot stop both at the same time, so white, he was paying attention and he plays rook e1, black plays bishop takes, and now a super tough decision for white, pawn takes c3. I mean, I say super tough because once we play this, our king is open as well. A lot of players, including myself, I mean, this is the first move I look at because I know queens are off, but at the same time, if queens are off, my attack is no longer powerful. I mean, he places the king in the middle, my pawn structure is not ideal, and his bishop is waking up, so I guess chances are about equal. I don't want equality. If I have the bishop pair, if I have development advantage, what I want is to attack. So I take with the pawn. I know that worst scenario I play king b2, king a1, my king is safe there. He's missing the dark square's bishop. So pawn takes is the best move, and black plays bishop to d7. Amazing that he doesn't want to castle yet. I mean, he has to play this move. We know kingside is not the best area for... I mean, it's not the safest place in the world for this king, but still, it is much better to have the king on g8 rather than having the king on e8. And if he places the king on the queen side, I mean, we still have the bishops there, so this move is probably too optimistic. This was required, and as white we have two options. One of them is taking and play this position with more pieces and trying to stop bishop d7. I mean, if he plays this, we can even play, yeah, bishop e4, take here, we can take on h7. We play with more pieces and queens on board. And another option, if I don't want to take on e5, I can play bishop e4 and try attacking with my bishop pair against his passive pieces. This is an option as well. I mean, no matter what white has in those variations, black has to castle. This bishop d7 is probably too much. And okay, here another great move by white. We know he's trying to castle queenside. I mean, even if he manages to do so, I think that is risky. But white plays rook to e4. I mean, of course we are playing against this move because now we have rook c4, but it's not only to stop this, it's because we want to play rook c4 ourselves. I mean, even if the king is on e8, rook c4 remains a powerful threat. So I like this, and we are also ready to transfer our rook to the king side if necessary. So he plays rook c8, rook c4, I love this, and black decides to castle. Maybe not the best time to castle because now we have a rook here, the bishop is still pointing out the h7 pawn. Black, he has to play a move like this. It is super tough because now he's also creating weaknesses on dark squares, but now castling, it's like he chose the best moment to do it. And okay, here, this is the last exercise we'll do in this video. Once he castles, we have like a super tempting move. Let's see if this works or not. So the question is bishop e4 working? Should we play something else? So you can answer these two questions. You can pause the video, and what I'll do is a 10-15 seconds pause, and then I'll continue talking. Remember, the question is whether this move is possible or not, because we attack the queen and the bishop, and maybe, I mean, if we can play something else. So I'll make the pause, and I'll continue talking in a few seconds. Okay, so in this position, bishop e4 is the super tempting move. I mean, we attack the queen. If we have the chance, we can just win the bishop on d7. Suppose he plays queen c5. And I say this move because it is the most aggressive one. Queen a3 is there, queen e3 is there. If we play queen takes d7, this is risky in view of rook f d8. Believe it or not, we don't have squares for our queen, and the most important, once we play something like queen a4, he plays queen e3 check, and we simply lose. So, bishop e4, the move itself is good, but we don't have to take on d7. I mean, if we play this, we should continue with a move like bishop h4. I mean, not taking the bishop on d7. This controls the d8 square just in case, and also prepares a move like bishop f6. This is what we are looking for. A lot of pieces fighting on the king side. We know that queen a3 is not an issue because we play king here, rook c5, and now the amazing bishop e7. I mean, this is computers, of course, rook b5, bishop b4, and somehow white is still winning. I know this is tough to believe, but we are attacking here, we still have a lot of fighting ideas on the king side. Of course, analyzing this, seeing all these moves as white is close to impossible, even for super strong grandmasters. I mean, you had to see that bishop e7, bishop b4, so For a computer, bishop e4 is actually winning, but for a human, it's super easy to fall in the trap and play this plus taking on d7. In this variation, we are actually losing. As I always say, sometimes we cannot follow concepts when we have aggressive positions like this. All we can do is calculate. And yeah, for getting better at calculating, do a lot of puzzles. That is the only way to get better. So okay, white, instead of playing, he castles. Instead of bishop e4, I'm pretty sure white was following his intuition and he plays bishop h4. I love this move. We have a simple threat. Bishop e4, it might be a threat later. I mean, the chance is still there. But with bishop h4, we also control the d8 square. So black plays king h8. Maybe, playing a passive move like this with all the action we have, this is like giving up. But yeah, what else can he play? Queen takes c3. We can simply take. And this position, he has to play this move. Oof, this is terrible news for black. We win this in too many ways. This, we can even take rook g7, rook takes c7. Even without queens, our attack is paying off. So, yeah, king h8. Now, bishop e4 would have been a winning move because we take on d7 and rook d8 is no longer possible. This is the only counterplay he has. And then if queen takes a2, here we simply have rook d3 and king d2. King is absolutely safe there. But okay, white, for some reason, he wasn't prepared for bishop e4 in this game. He had the chance of playing this move twice, but we'll see. He plays queen e2, which is not the best move. In fact, it looks a bit passive to me. Make sure when you have positions like this, he castles. Here bishop e4 was winning, that was tough. Okay, bishop h4, controlling d8, king h8. It looks like this is the moment to win. Don't be afraid of playing this kind of moves. Bishop e4 has to be winning. We played the careful bishop h4. Now this has to win. Don't be afraid of taking risks. Sometimes we have to risk in order to convert advantages. This is not a huge risk because everything is well protected and the king is totally safe. Even if we don't play rook d3, we can just play rook c3, protecting the c3 pawn, and there's no real threat from black. So white, I think his technique wasn't the best. And here after queen e2, black, he can even play a move like rook g8, and then he keeps everything under control. Queen e2, I know this looks like a bad move, but we have some ideas. As you can imagine, we can even sacrifice our rook and then play queen h5, queen g4. We have some ideas. In black, as I said, he should have played this move. Then that position is complicated. Let's see what happens if knight h6. The first move we have to analyze is rook takes and queen takes e5. Here we see the power of our bishops. Black is defenseless. If this queen g5, we even have queen e7 if king f7, and if queen takes, if king f7 now, okay, this should be an easy win. Bishop takes h7 is like that computer's move, because we open the d file, we make sure that king doesn't escape, but to be honest, we can just play this. Let's make it easy. This, queen here, and if this, I have queen takes. This is much easier. I take the knight and I continue with the threats. So knight h6 looks like the king h8 black played a couple of moves ago. Knight h6 is not helping much. h6, we can still try sacrificing. We see his king side. is just too weak. Then queen c6 is coming next, so knight c5, we take, pawn takes, queen takes, and this is game over. As you can see, it's mate soon. If this, queen h6, and if this, I have bishop c6, rook f1. Okay, yeah, this is losing too. So, as you can see, after king h8, and I insist on this because this is like a random middle game position we can easily have in our games. Bishop e4 wins a piece. White has to defend a bit, but bishop e4 is a clean win. White played queen e2 because he saw all these possible sacrifices on c7, and in practice it looks like this move is much better than bishop e4, because I mean, out of 10 players, only one would play rook c8, which is the only move to survive. Black played e4, trying to keep that position open, trying to play queen takes c3 and protect this. Before we move to e4, let's see if this works. Queen takes. Well, we could sacrifice on c7, although this is easier. Yeah, this is the move black was trying to avoid. As you can see, there is no defense here. If this, yeah, bishop f6, king, and this is straightforward mate. So, yeah, queen e2, not the best move, but in practice it turns out to be a brilliant move because black wasn't even aware of the sacrifice on c7. He plays this move, which has an idea, taking on c3, thus protecting c7. But of course, as white, we can consider the in-between move. Rook takes. We are not taking on e4. I mean, if we take with the queen, this is helping black by trading queens off. If we take with the bishop, he can take, and now this is super complicated. Even if we win a piece, I mean, we can play queen a3, queen a1. This is not what I'm looking for. Queen c3. Oof. He might escape with a perpetual even, so after e4 we can slow down. If we had sacrificing ideas before, we have to try them here. Rook takes, and now black has two options. One of them is taking on c7, although that simply loses to queen c4, king h8, bishop f6, and if king h6, well, it looks like losing. We can even play queen f4 and queen f6. That should be winning. Yeah, this is even better. Yeah, king moves and queen g3 and queen mate. Okay. So yeah, king takes rook is like an easy win. And if e takes d3, again an in-between move by white. Here, the only move to win is bishop to f6. We can try others, but we don't have an immediate threat. Even if we play queen c4, there's no mate soon. So this move, preparing the discovered check, and then we win. If he takes a queen, of course we mate him. This, even rook c5, rook c4, all sort of mates. If he moves the knight, this should be an easy win too. We can play rook takes, and then queen h5, queen g6. So black, knowing the mate was coming soon, he tries queen takes c3. And okay, let's pay attention here because everything is hanging. If we take his queen, he'll take our queen. We can take on d3 maybe, but f6 is hanging. What should we play? This is pure calculation, and as usual, double checks are good enough to win. Rook c8. He has to take with the king, he doesn't have any other move. And then we play queen c4, and it's mate. Knight here, queen takes, king here, queen, king, queen e7. As usual, straightforward calculation leads to the win. So, a tough game, super tough game. even when we talk about strong players, we see a lot of mistakes. That is what happens in practice. Tough positions lead to mistakes or not the most accurate decisions, but we have a lot of things to learn from these games because this is reality. This is what we have in our games. So I hope this game was useful. I also hope you could learn something. And of course, I want to see you guys during my next courses. Thank you.